My narcissistic parents persuaded my golden kid brother to pop the question at my wedding, since my fiancé loves me and his girlfriend is going to leave him. My fiancé is going to leave his girlfriend. Due to the fact that he was predetermined, my brother has always been the most popular. Despite the fact that my parents only desired to have one child, they ended up having me by accident of pregnancy. My mother carried me to term since they do not believe in the practice of abortion. Despite this, she continued to harbor resentment towards me for being born. I am made fun of by my brother, who refers to me as a stupid mistake. Throughout my childhood, that was the moniker that was given to me, and my parents never stopped him from using it. In point of fact, when I went to them and cried about it, they just responded by saying that he was correct because they had no intention of having another child. I left home when I graduated from high school. Scholarships and grants were the only sources of funding for my college education, and today I am enjoying a wonderful life. What is the most enjoyable aspect? In April, I will be getting married to my lovely fiancée, and I can't wait to finally tie the knot with her. It was her desire to have a wedding in the spring, and I always make sure to give my future bride what she wants. As far as I can tell, the issue began on the previous Saturday, when my parents invited me to their home to discuss a particular matter. When I asked them about it over the phone, they continued to be very evasive and refused to reveal what it was. When I arrived, my older brother was already there, and I immediately realized that this was not going to be a pleasant situation. I was seated down by my parents, and they informed me that my brother has expressed his desire to utilize my wedding as the ideal occasion for him to propose to his girlfriend. Although I couldn't believe they were asking me such a ridiculous question, I couldn't help but laugh in their faces since I couldn't believe they were being so serious. Instantaneously, I became enraged and told them that my answer was no. However, they conspired against me. In spite of the fact that I had been subjected to abuse and neglect over a period of 18 years, I let out a great deal of wrath. I told them that I was miserable living with them, and that there were times when I wished I hadn't even been born, because it was obvious that they had never given any interest in having me, as he chuckled and whispered. Yeah, who would my brother laughed, and that was the nail in the coffin for me. I informed them that if they wished to carry out this activity, not only will I leave them all without invitation, but I would also cut them off. From the time they took out a second mortgage to pay for my golden kid brother's college education, I have been providing him with the financial support that I have been giving on a monthly basis. Mostly due to the fact that I continued to provide financial assistance to them, despite the fact that they were giving my brother, who was a loser, whatever he desired, even if it meant that they were about to completely lose everything. Without me, they would not have been able to retire at all. This is due to the fact that my brother spent half of their retirement money on boats, a flat that he completely trashed, which resulted in him being kicked out, and my parents having to pay for all the damages he caused. In addition, at some point in time, he had a failed business that caused a pretty penny. On the other side, I was able to secure a position that offered a respectable salary. And I have been sending my parents $1,000 every month to assist them in lessening the burden of their mortgage. In addition, I did not make a request for a share of ownership in their home, because I am not interested in having it whatsoever. It was completely out of good intent, but I have the ability to terminate it whenever I want, and at that very moment I had a strong desire to do so. Nevertheless, at that point in time, it was merely a threat. Soon after that, I left, and I must say that I did so with a great deal of anger. However, the following day, my brother came to my house to rage at me, saying that I had wrecked his huge chance, for the first time in my life. My parents were on my side, and they threatened to kick him out of the house if he had any intention of proposing to me at my wedding. The accusation that I had blackmailed our parents financially was made by him, and stated that he was simply looking for a suitable opportunity to propose because he was concerned that his girlfriend would leave him in the near future. I informed him that it was his problem, not mine, because my wedding day is not about him, and if he goes ahead and makes an attempt to propose during my wedding, I would have him kicked out of the ceremony. That is not a possibility, rather, it is the case. Aside from that, I seriously doubt that his girlfriend would be pleased with her proposal that was followed by being kicked out of the club by a bouncer. It was because of this that his parents never loved me, and it was also because of this that they dubbed me a mistake behind my back. He yelled. My feelings were wounded, but it wasn't anything I didn't already know. I was quite hurt by that. After everything was said and done, he went to our grandma and sobbed, and she called me to attempt to persuade me to take him up on his proposal. As it turns out, my brother entirely rewrote the narrative in order to portray me as a major antagonist who called him every term in the book. In spite of the fact that I had informed her of the truth, she continued to take his side. This merely demonstrates how profound his golden child syndrome is. The verbal blowback that I ended up giving her caused her to cry, despite the fact that she attempted to maintain her position. That was brought to the attention of my parents, who were upset with me for taking things to such an extreme. But I informed them that I only went that far because I had no choice but to do so, when they were all attempting to convince me to allow my brother use my wedding as a springboard for him to propose to me. In the end, they expressed their agreement with me, yet they continued to say that they believe I am rude. Once more, my brother came to my house to yell at me and tell me that I am a complete and utter jerk. I really hope that I am pleased with myself for not giving him the chance to fulfill his potential. From the perspective of my fiancée, she is aware of what my brother is attempting to accomplish, and she is quite upset about it. If he continues to pursue this, she is nearly prepared to have him join her without her permission. In most situations, I have a fairly low-key temper. On the other hand, when it comes to particular individuals, such as my brother, my parents, and my grandmother, I have a tendency to be short with them due to the fact that I have shown favoritism in the past. Particularly my granny has been. There was never a time when she did not support my brother and believed his falsehoods, regardless of what he did. She is the primary reason why my parents choose to prioritize my brother over me. Regardless, I ended up having another conversation with my brother, and I threatened to notify his girlfriend if he continued to have the intention of proposing to me during my wedding without first obtaining my approval. Because he took it poorly and referred to me as a terrible person, I made it clear that my wedding is not supposed to be about him. When it came to this matter, our parents were present, and they supported me as soon as they did it. I believe my brother took a double take or something. The fact that my father had brought up my brother in an incorrect manner was a subject of contention for him. As a result, my brother was to treat them with genuine respect from this point forward, and they wanted to have an official lease made up for him so that he could pay the appropriate amount of rent and utilities because, at the time, my brother was living with them at no cost. If he decides not to pay, he has the option of moving out, and they will proceed to rent his room to another individual. In need of assistance, my brother went to our mother. But she merely concurred with her father. His appearance suggested that he was experiencing a convulsion, and he then exited the house. We did not learn where he went until 2 days later, when he made the announcement that he was moving in with Grandma since she had invited him to spend time with her. If he wants to live with her, then he should go ahead and do so, according to what our parents effectively instructed him. Upon hearing this, my brother answered by adding that we all despise him for the simple reason that he wants to propose to his girlfriend. My parents shared with me that it was not that he desired to propose, rather, it was the location in which he desired to do so, and he would not receive any support for doing so. Currently, he is refusing to communicate with our parents. I did receive another call from my grandma, but I informed her that he would not be proposing at my wedding. I told her that he could either get it or not come, and the same goes for her. Eventually, I confronted her about her favoritism towards my brother ever since we were children. Although she initially attempted to deny it, she was unable to continue doing so because of the several times that I brought it to her attention. I ended up telling her that she would not be attending my wedding if she continued to insist on this, and she ended up crying once again while I was telling her this. Despite the fact that she begged me not to cancel her offer, she continued to express her confusion on the reason I was unable to allow my brother have his way before I ended the call. The person I am engaged to is completely prepared to exclude both my brother and my grandma from the wedding. The other day, my mother called me to let me know that she had a conversation with my grandmother. After she had told her all that I had said during our chat, my mother finally saw that she had put my brother ahead of me a little bit more than she should have. However, despite the fact that she ended up calling my brother a hole, he continued to attempt to excuse himself to her. She then informed him that they had reached their conclusion and severed all communication with him. Naturally, my brother laid the blame on me. Despite the fact that his girlfriend has stated that she has been prepared to leave him for some time now, and that she would have refused his proposal regardless of where it was made. She has denied his proposal. Indeed, he is. I have decided to abstain from attending my wedding, which is, in all honesty, the greatest thing to do. In addition to stating that I would not miss him, I also mentioned that he is now in his 30s and needed to mature. Our mother and father have severed the umbilical connection, and they are no longer providing him with assistance. They have already begun making preparations to rent his room to another individual since they are in desperate need of the money after the financial mess that he left them in after he dropped out of college. I just want to take advantage of them for a short period of time so that I may eventually earn a degree through online education. In addition, I want to avoid paying any rent and force them to pay for his food and utilities, despite the fact that I have a job that pays well. They lavished all of their wealth on him, but he did not show the slightest bit of gratitude. Because of that, my brother simply stopped talking to me and left my house. Ever since that time, we have not received a single word from him.